Hey friends, it's Jen. Welcome back to the Homes That Heal podcast. Before I get into introducing my guest today, I want to take a minute first to say thank you. I've been posting shows now for a few months, and honestly, I can't tell you how incredibly rewarding it is to not only be in your ear each week, but I'm so grateful to have these conversations and know so many amazing people. This show has been a dream of mine for many years, as you know, and to see it all come to fruition this year, plus spend time with so many beautiful people, it's truly a blessing and a dream come true. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in. So if you have any dreams or dreams you want to come true, my Jen recommend advice for you today is if you aspire to create something new or have a big dream, chase it and create it. Don't wait. Dreams turn into our reality and our thoughts become things. Go all in and don't look back. Honestly, if you're not sure where to start, check out the Gen Connections page on my site. It's where a few of my favorite gurus are, and you're welcome to connect with them anytime. Okay, so let's tap into today's show. I am delighted to share a recent conversation I had with my fellow light leader, Megan Zechel. Megan is one of those people that when you meet her, you immediately feel her radiant energy and you love her. She is not only gorgeous on the outside, but her inner light beams super bright. I met her years ago through knowing her mom. We actually met at the coffee shop she owned at that time. And as soon as we chatted, I knew right away she and I would be friends. Her mom taught me how to use a pendulum, plus has cleared my homes and businesses over the years. And of course, connected me with Meg. And so Meg shares a lot of the same gifted wisdom. And together they teach and host several spiritual courses. And her sister also offers energetic services. So it's truly just this like supportive family dynamic, which I just think is so beautiful. She and her husband reside in southern Wisconsin, where they're deeply rooted and close to their 4 children and 3 grandchildren. They formerly own the Northfit Creamery, which is home of the CrossFit in Fort Atkinson, where they spent over a decade building an incredible community focused on the whole body experience, not just the physical fitness. She stepped into wellness the same way many of us do. Her own health was not in alignment, and she was suffering from several autoimmune issues, which ultimately pushed her down the road of discovery. And then later, her daughter's health was in trouble, which only strengthened her passion for answers. And then her husband's health needed attention, so that too moved their motivation. So she's going to share her healing journey today, plus walk you through how they manage their health as a family. Her hope is to empower and remind you who you are and that you have all the answers within you. And honestly, in my opinion, that right there is the key, my friends. Megan's passion lies in healing the body and creating community. Avenues that she's studied are holistic nutrition, herbalism, physical fitness, and metabolic healing movement, as well as energy work, including Reiki and spiritual response therapy, otherwise known as SRT, and pendulum work. She believes that each of us have a set of gifts, and sharing them with the world is what can lead to individual healing, family healing, community healing, and beyond. So her current focus is mentoring individuals and groups, as well as hosting sound bath and healing circles, retreats, and healing classes. Mark and I attend their healing circles, and one as recent as a few weeks ago, actually. Full transparency, we were both having a pretty tough week, and our communication wasn't great. So I popped over onto Meg's site, and fortunately, she had a couple spots open for their Friday night healing circle. So I just went ahead and planned a little date night so we could unwind and reconnect to ourselves and each other. You guys, let me just quick paint this picture. The healing circles are a bunch of people cocooned in their blankets on their yoga mat. We chat a little bit before, then move into a beautiful combination of music, drums, and sound bowls. It's the most beautiful, euphoric, and enlightened experience, in my opinion. They're downright amazing. You can find these anywhere, honestly. I shouldn't say anywhere because everyone is a bit different, but a lot of people offer these. Personally, I'm working on some expansion projects right now, so that is moving me through some stress and fear. And let me just tell you how incredibly potent these vibrational frequencies are at cracking us wide open. Music is such a powerful gateway. We all know this. It literally vibrates our energetic beingness. My entire body was electric, and I could feel my heart chakra release. And then the rest of my body actually just like kind of fell into alignment. I often get a bit emotional during these as well. It's different for everybody. but I just really enjoy letting my body release since it's such a supportive space to do so. If you're in the Southern Wisconsin area and want to experience this, hop over to Meg's site, check out her class schedule, and sign up for her newsletter. You will not be disappointed, and chances are you'll see me there too. A quick note that Meg shared with me, and I just want to share this with you before we jump in today. She wrote this to me a few weeks ago. There is so much beauty and joy that can be appreciated if we're willing to see it. Most adults I meet are confined to the prison that is their belief system, and yet when they start to dream again and break beyond these walls, magic starts to happen. Joy begins to appear, laughter is more common, feeling and looking better follow. Appreciation for your surroundings becomes prominent. In all of the lessons we have learned as a family and continue to learn, I hope to pass those along and help lead the way. Absolutely amazing. I love it. I absolutely love her, and I know you will too. I hope you find this conversation valuable and glean some actionable steps towards grounding your life and home. It's an honor to call her a friend and share her light with you, so please enjoy and welcome Megan Zechel to the show. Are you struggling with low energy, weight gain, hormonal imbalances, or heavy metal and mold toxicity? Do you want to learn more about anti-aging tips and creating more longevity in your life? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jen Heller, a wellness educator, infrared sauna expert, and home health consultant. In this podcast, Homes That Heal, I will teach you how to transform your home into a health and wellness sanctuary. Your health is your wealth, and I believe that your home should be your sanctuary space, loaded with the tools you need to thrive in your life, not just survive. If you want to feel fantastic and transform your life and home, grab a pen, let's dive in and create a home that heals. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Homes That Heal podcast. Today, I am joined by my friend Megan, who I'm super excited to have here. Welcome to the show, Megan.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure. We're going to have a fun conversation today.
We
decided, before we hit record, we're going to be all over the board today. So a little upfront warning. We have so much to talk about, but Megan is just such a beautiful energy. I met her mom through a referral years ago. She helped me do some house clearing in my home. And then she kind of walked me into the world of crystals and energy healing, and then met Meg through some sound baths, post-retreats.
Yep.
So Meg, I would love for you to share a little bit about your story and how you stepped into this beautiful world of wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's so fascinating because my foundation, I didn't understand any of this, and I really toppled into it through health. I had my own health stuff that was happening, and my mom worked for a hospital at the time. And so between having rheumatoid arthritis, having a lot of what I found out later, food allergies, when that wasn't a common thing, and then Hashimoto hypothyroidism. So it was like my nervous system was just kind of bouncing all around and one autoimmune to another. I was about to graduate high school and things were just kind of hitting a big wall, and I had been in and out of doctors. There was a flyer up at the hospital for a Reiki master, and my mom had met the woman, and she never told me anything about it. I had a very religious background, so for us, that was a big no-no. But my mom was dealing with her autoimmune as well. And she had told me, she's like, I'm going to take you to see someone. And I was immediately very judgmental, very all my fears. Like, that's a witch. That's all these things that are so deeply ingrained in my belief and learning, because I was so strictly religious. And my mom's like, please just, let's just try it. We've tried a lot of different things. And I met this woman, and she was the kindest woman I've ever met. She had helped me more in the hour I was with her than any person had. She talked to me like a person. And, it introduced me into the world of energy work, which I didn't understand. And very quickly, I had to sit with my own beliefs and my own judgments. And it really kind of tumbled me into this world of, self-reflection of, here's someone who did this session for free, who impacted my life and really got this momentum going. And I was so fascinated by it. My mom and I ended up getting our certification in Reiki. And just kind of, it just stumbled from there. And it made me do a lot of self-reflection. Like, why do I have these beliefs? What is the fear in me? Maybe I need to sit and try and unlearn something and relearn.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because again, we're
Yeah.
our programmed self. It's like we come out pure and then we're conditioned and programmed, which is fine. You know, that's part of our own learning and growth. But then you usually hit a breaking point, or you hit a wall, or you hit some experience that almost redirects you, you know, and it's like the whispers become louder.
Right.
And that was a pivotal moment for me. And for a while there, I kind of went back into my old ways. Like, okay, I ended up having hives that covered my body for over a year. I couldn't work. I couldn't everything from my hands to my feet. I had seen over 12 doctors. They just wanted to put me on meds. And I'm like, there's something wrong, you know? And it was me questioning and asking and saying, no, I'm not doing the meds. I want someone to speak to me. I want someone to see me. Like, what is happening underlying? And that's when I enrolled. I realized I'm the only one that can help myself. And that's when blogs were not, they were so small, but I found a couple that was in Hawaii, and I really followed their dietary, going through the elimination diet, really taking things on myself. And then I enrolled myself into a holistic nutritional program, followed that with an herbalism program. And I just kept self-educating because I'm like,
Right.
I can't expect someone else to do this for me. And every time I leaned in, I learned more and I unlearned more. And so I was like, okay, I'm just, it's this constant evolution of relearning. Eventually, my daughter ended up having grand mal seizures for a period of time. And so then it dove me deeper, you know, because I was like, they just wanted to medicate her and she was hospitalized over and over and over again. And I'm like, there is something more here. And it led me really, you know, more and more natural holistic doctors are popping up, and every doctor has a place and time. And I had a great neurologist who was he thought I was strange, but he was open. You know, he was like, I don't believe it, but if you go these routes, like, just tell me how I can help.
Right.
And he's like, my hands are tied because of insurance. So the blood tests you want me to run, I can't do. Mm. And so I'm like, that's fine. I'm going to seek out these other doctors and talk to them and see, okay, you know, if they'll even talk. And that's when I had come across Susan's Way in Milwaukee, and me, Jeb, and my daughter went and chatted with her. And, you know, normally with doctors, it's like you get 15, 20 minutes. Well, she spent almost 2 hours with us, like actually understanding, like, how was your pregnancy? Who are her siblings? What are the stress? Like, just talking to us like people. And so it just felt so good. And then we got to go from there. Like, okay, what are we looking at? And it came down to glyphosate, the spray. I mean, we sprayed our yards. You know, my husband had done that for work. It was all the food dyes. It was all the pesticides, the plastics. I mean, everything was spiked red. And then it came down to what she was allergic to for food. And if you understand food, you can know it could always change. But in a moment, if your body can't support itself, it's not accepting anything. And so really, we just navigated this path of like, all right, we're detoxing the home. We're detoxing the water. We're detoxing, like, what in our home can we clean up? What in our world, which I had already really honed in on a lot of that because it was my focus of what my education was, but even to a deeper degree.
Right.
And so it really led me down to like, okay, what else is there? And these things I thought were fine clearly are having, you know, something that is impacting. That took us, you know, I mean, we really learned a lot. And she's seizure free now. She's been good, off medication, all of that. Like, we've worked through all of it. Okay. And now she's back to like kind of being a teenager, which is fine, you know.
That's a whole other host of things.
It's a whole other thing, but she's got to go through her learning stuff, right?
Yeah.
And eventually it led into my husband had ulcerative colitis, and he had it for over 10 years, was on meds. We had, you know, his Western doctors. And again, it was fine, but it was like you take a med for so long and then it doesn't work. And then you switch. And it's just all these things were happening. Well, COVID had hit. He got COVID. And he got it pretty bad, and he wasn't getting better. And so when we went in to see a doctor, they realized due to his medication, it was because it was a small form of chemo, it was keeping him ill. So we had to take him off of that, which then basically put him in this cycle of all these flares. So he moved forward, had 7 surgeries, and had his large intestines and his colon removed. That took over the course of a couple of years. And again, learning a lot through it, right? Like, okay, we can, every medicine can be used at different times, right? It's just trying to navigate that path. And when we went through that, when he got to the end of it, the whole goal is like, okay, I'm going to be better. I can eat things. I can, I'm going to live my life free of stress. And it just wasn't that. It almost was worse. And so really at the heart of it, we had to sit with, okay, what else is there? And that's when, again, between learning and understanding this world is what emotions were tied. And a big part for men is anger and resentment is held in the stomach.
I don't know. Interesting.
I don't know if you have the book Heal Your Body by Louise Hay.
I have. Yeah. Read it a few times. Yeah. That's a classic.
It is. So I kind of tell everyone, if that's something you can have, because you could look at like, okay, I have this. What is the emotion behind it? And then helps give you an affirmation to help shift your thought process.
Right.
And what's beautiful about it, like some people get upset or like, oh, you think this is what's causing it. It's not about that. It's about self-empowering you to be like, okay, if this is the emotion behind it, if I can go back and work on it and heal it, then it empowers me to possibly heal that component. Right. And so really it led us into this deep dive of music therapy, plant medicine, just even diving deeper, into a world. And it opened us up into like, what impacts us? What impacts our body? We can have all the clean products, and at the time we owned a CrossFit gym for the last decade. You can work out all you want. You can do all these things, but your insides can still not be okay if you haven't changed some dynamics or the stress or emotions aren't dealt with. So for us, it was like, shit, like we got to dive deeper. Like, God damn it. Like,
here we go. It's like layers, like layers, like peel them back all the time.
It is. And so it's such a gift. You know what I mean? I think when you learn that the journey doesn't ever end, but to just be present in it and enjoy it, then you can look at it a little different and instead of be frustrated. But it's like, then we really went to work with like, okay, is there childhood trauma? Is there the inner child? What is there that needs to be dealt with? Because our triggers in life are a reflection of something that we need to work on. And so they're actually a beautiful gift for us, but it's almost like being aware of the trigger to see, okay, why is that making me upset? What is that there? Where do I need to go back and kind of revisit? And so really over the course of, the last handful of years, we've been working with different coaches. Everyone needs a coach. And I've been doing more school, just seeking out other things, even as far as astrology, understanding astrology, numerology. It's like,
I'm on that path. Well, I've been on that path for a bit, but I've been digging deeper into the astrology over the last few years. I love it. It's so fascinating how you can weave that in and weave that energy in to the work we're doing here on Earth, right?
Totally.
I follow true sidereal astrology. Are you familiar with that? Okay, so it's a little bit different than traditional astrology. Yeah. I follow a guy, his name is Athen, and he puts out what's called a weekly forecast. That's literally just a weekly, it's like a 10 to 15 minute video of like, here's where the planets are. Here's, this retrograde. This is where this at. For, I would say probably the last 4 or 5 years, I've been following that weekly forecast and kind of plan out my week in and around that energy. Like, oh, if this is a really good day to go inward or to do some healing, or this is maybe what I call like a fire day where you're just kind of like, you can plan some more implementation and some business stuff. Every Sunday I sit down, and if I don't catch it Sunday, I listen to it Monday morning so that I have an idea of what the astrology energy is. Now, granted, it's not perfect, right? Like life comes at you, but it's just another component of understanding how you can get into the flow, like how you can manage things in a way that just follows vibration and energy. So I love that.
It is. And it's one of those where like one of the classes I took, she's like, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires use astrology.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if you necessarily believe it or not. It's just being an awareness. Like, okay, I can take what resonates and leave what doesn't, and that's all right. It's understanding like, okay, what is the energy? So I can maybe tap into it a little bit more and be aware of it. But when we owned the gym, I had all male between my husband, who's just an alpha male, and then a lot of other alpha males. It was like we did our weekly meetings and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just, the only female. I'm going to kill them all because they're just like, and what I started doing is I started like a book club for the guys. And
fun.
I made them, we did all the astrology. So they understood like, what is your sun? What is your moon? And I have a great book that does like, here's you as a boss. Here's you as an employee. Here's you as a husband. Here's you as a, brother, whatever. And I'm like, I want this to impact your life, not just in here, but outside of here. And if we can understand that no way is right, but everyone is unique, then we can work a lot better. And it's amazing. I mean, they all were just laughing hysterically because it was so spot on. I was like,
I was going to say, I want their feedback.
It was like, they were all like, my husband was like, if there's a problem, he's going to hone in and he's going to come at you. And it's always, and he's so logical. He's a Virgo. So it's like everything in his mind is like, here's the steps to do it.
Yeah.
His brother is an Aquarius. Strange. Okay. So it's just like his way is very logical, but in a very unique way.
Yeah.
And so for them to understand, instead of like butt up against each other, now they have an understanding of one another and they can laugh about it.
Right.
And so we did that for our kids. It's like, it's fun. It's like, oh, I wish I had this tool. I wish I knew about this when my children were younger, or because you understand people's personalities, even if it's not too key, it just helps you reflect.
Right. Oh yeah. I think it kind of goes back to what you said a few minutes ago too, when things happen, I mean, life happens for us, not to us.
Right.
And when I started to figure this out, and it's like, when you can take a step back and understand, oh, that's interesting information. Like, I wonder why this is happening, instead of getting mad or frustrated. It's kind of similar to the astrology. It's kind of similar of understanding other people. I mean, Mark and I have done a ton of work. We are so yin and yang. We are so opposite. I'm a Capricorn. Like, we are not the same person. But when you can understand the other person so that you can work with their energy and find a way for it to be in alignment, like, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit in the same box. But Mark has a ton of qualities and things. He's an analytical mind. He reads the mail. I do not. Like, there's so many things that I don't do because it's just not, I don't find it interesting, or it's not my thing. He checks the boxes for him, right? So we work well together, but you have to figure that out. You have to understand. So even with siblings or any other kind of relationship, when you can get a good understanding of why that person is doing that, you can have more gratitude and more respect for it, because it's not going to be it's not the same as you. They have their own uniqueness. And so,
and then you appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate Mark so much more. And that's really the foundation of it, is we respect and appreciate and love each other so much more, because he brings so much value to our relationship that I know I'm not going to. And instead of me being upset about his, having to be at the airport way far in advance than I would normally roll in, it's like, okay, I understand that if we get there earlier, he's going to be calm and at peace, which then is going to ride right into a fabulous vacation or wherever we're going, instead of it being my way, where I would just show up like 10 minutes before the plane's taking off. Not really.
Totally.
But I'm a roll with the flow kind of person, and time is not something that I spend a whole lot of. I think things happen in divine timing. So if I meant to miss that plane, well, I meant to miss that plane.
Yeah, totally.
But I know that Mark needs to be there early. He needs to check in. He needs to find the bathroom. He's a better person, and we have a better relationship for it when we understand those qualities about each other. So,
I mean, a common one, because I'm a Gemini, so the Gemini mind. And so it was such a gift for me because, there's this book I just read. It's all about the Aborigine tribe and their kind of modalities and techniques and stuff. It's a great book. And it talks about 3 different types of people. You have the victim, you have the savior, who wants to save everyone, right? And that's just, we think coming from a place of love. I can see what would help you. I can see, I want to take you. I want to take you over there. I want to show you. I want to tell you. And, and then you have the third one, the master. And it's the master of your own world. It's the master of your human. And I believe this journey has taught me to be my own master and to teach others. Be your own master. I can't be that for you. No one else should be that for you. You need to be that for you. So the more tools you add into your toolbox, the more you become a master. And so when I learned astrology and numerology and even like the love languages, everyone in my whole staff read that. You start to become self-aware. So it's like, I understand when my Gemini mind comes in, I can catch myself now. And I'm like, okay, just take a breath. I can see where my Gemini is coming in. Let me refocus. It helps you become the master of yourself and the master of your human. And so that's what's been so beautiful about learning all those modalities is like, you got nothing to lose about it. And the stars have been around forever. I mean, we did get it right. We did get it right at one point. So to think it's a woo-woo thing, they've literally based everything off of the stars, I know. And so it's just fun. It's just having fun with it and not taking it all too seriously.
Yeah, you said that so beautifully. I've never heard anyone describe that before about the victim, the savior, or the master. I can, like the savior is definitely a place.
A lot of us. Yeah.
I've lived that, you want to help everyone, but I love the thought of being a master because then I heard a saying years ago that really stuck, master your mood, master your energy.
Yeah.
And that has really stuck with me in the sense of like, all I need to do is take care of myself, right? Like, of course we want to help people. Like I've dedicated my life to be in service to other people and help other people become their own wellness warrior or master. But really, we can't help others if we're not there. And so that's definitely a lesson I learned. And you could probably relate to this with the gym. That's a lesson I learned having the wellness center over the years. I've reflected on when I've been over my skis as far as my own energy and my own bandwidth, but you want to help so many people. And then you've got this revolving door of like, I was so grateful for the abundance of people that are finding me and like they're talking and like from a business sense, it's like, this is fabulous. Like, thank you God for like bringing me all these people. But then it's like, okay, what can I handle? Like how much can I handle?
Totally.
And then I had to go back to like rebalancing. I remember in 2018, that's when I let go of one-to-one coaching because I caught myself. I was burnt out. I had to take a step back. I remember coming back. I was in Canada at a ladies' business retreat. And I remember coming home and I was like, I wrote the blog and the article email that went out to my community when I got back, because I remember thinking, I can't keep doing this or my health is going to suffer. Like, and I know this feeling, right? Because I've had a couple of warning shots. I've had a check engine light or two come on for me to remind me that we need to be our own masters first before we really, I don't want to say step in, but the more we become our own master, the more I think we can show people how to do this versus doing it for them. And that's hard for me to articulate too, because I bounce between those two, I don't say roles, but
I think it's one of those where it's, especially in our work, right? When our work is wellness and it becomes a lot of different things that we're helping people with. Especially, so I do a lot of coaching, mentorships, the retreats, and it's easy for people to attach happiness to you or like, oh, I want to be around you. I want to tell me everything you know. Right. And it's always just going to a reminder, like I'll share everything I know, but I did explain this to my mentorship the other day. There is no levels in the healing world. There's no levels. And a lot of people think, because again, that analytical mind wants to come in, oh, you and your mom have been doing it for so long, you're at a high level. I just want to get there. And I'm like, there isn't levels in this because it's so unique and individualized. However, it's a frequency I hold, right? I've done work for many, many years. I have an understanding. So I hold a frequency. So when I have my clients or I have anyone around me, they have to match my frequency. They have to come up and meet me. So that's where it's like you start to realize, like, I'm not healing you. I'm holding a frequency that I'm trying to get you to come up to.
Elevate.
And so again, that's why it's so easy. If you go by someone negative, really understanding, does it drop you down into that? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it's empowering people to know, like, you have everything you need within. Just sometimes it takes some tools, but it's also a belief system, a thought
Mm-hmm.
process. And like you said, getting out of that analytical mind and dropping into the heart, knowing
Right.
I don't need to control it all. I don't need, it's so easy to have a tangible thing. Like, here's my list. If I do all these things, I get my master's degree. Well, you don't have a master's in spirituality. You don't have a master's in this profession. So it's very, very difficult for those that have an analytical mind, because they're like, if I do this and
Right.
I this and this.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is, you can learn all the things. If you don't embody it, it doesn't matter.
Right. Oh, that's the key. That's the key is, I don't want to say implementation, but
It's living it. It's being it.
living what you're
Correct.
learning. And so
Correct.
that's a center point for me, is because there's a lot of learning. I mean, there's an abundance, an endless amount, a limitless amount of information out there. It's all there for all of us.
Yep.
It's what you do with it. It's how
Correct.
you live your life. It's one of the reasons that I created this show, was to show people what other people are doing to live their most abundant, joyful life. It doesn't mean it has to fit for you or it's just showing people you are the creator. You can design it. You have to. So read the book and then you implement, take away what you need to from it. There's so many people that read a ton of books. They read, but like, I know you're like, what did you do with that information?
Like, again,
so
like,
what are you going to do about it? Right. That's what I always say to people. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it's like plant medicine. Okay, you want to go in there and you want to get that quick fix, but you still got to come back to reality and the veil sins again, and you still got to deal with you. And you have to have those. And that's where it comes to, like what you were talking about, is how do you have the tools? What can you do to come back to that? And it isn't hard. It's almost so simple that we overcomplicate it, where it's literally is just, it's simplifying. It's the whole reason you have this podcast. It's like healing within your home. What do you listen to? What do you read? What does your home feel like? Do you have things in your home that make you feel good? What is your work environment? It's little things that are tangible, because we can't control outside of us, but what can we control? Because that's where you start being and living and knowing, like, when I come home, it's my authentic home. It's not someone else's. I'm not, where I was talking to you before, I'm not planning it for someone else to live down in my house. I'm not going to put the picture or paint the wall because we might sell it and the resale value will go down. It's like, no, I have mushrooms on my wall.
See that? I love that. I'm not shocked at all. That's what I say. We're going to come back to the plant medicine show another day because that's
we
fun
can do
for
all
me.
that. Yep. We can do all that.
That's so you. As soon as we hopped down here today, I was like, that's not shocking to me at all. I see plants. I see this gorgeous.
My crystals.
Yep. I see this gorgeous sunlight coming in. Like, this is so you. It couldn't be more you. And that's what it should be, right? That is what, like, people need to design their space
for them,
in and around that they love. And, you said it perfectly too earlier before we hit the record. What did you say?
We should live in our home for us, not in preparation for someone else to live here.
There it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we do. We go into that thought like, okay, if we have the white walls and we have everything is aesthetically pleasing. We don't put anything on you know what I mean? And we have the white couch and we have everything looks like this. It'll eventually, when we sell, even though we're not meaning to sell right now, or again, just tuning in, like, I think of how many people get a gift. And are you putting it up out of obligation, or are you putting it up because it truly means something to you? Or how easily we go to the store and we just literally buy things to fill our space, but does it have a meaning? Because everything has energy. So it's really understanding, like, what connects with me? What do I want in my home? How do I want it to feel? And like what you had mentioned before, it comes down to having more plants. My house is filled with plants. Aggressively. It's filled with books, but I'm a book person. So I'm a tangible book. So my books are everywhere. My crystals, my mom's been giving me crystals and they're everywhere. Yeah.
Always everywhere.
And plants are natural clearers. Crystals are natural clearers. So you were saying, like, what could people tangibly do in their house? Speak to your home, talk to it.
Yeah.
Your home has walls. Everything has character. If you don't think it's alive, then you don't understand science and quantum physics. Like everything is alive. And so what are you filling it with? If it's just you're constantly nagging at it or angry or upset or saying, it looks so bad in here. Well, your walls hear that. So it's about like really being in gratitude. Like, I'm so grateful for my home. I'm so grateful for the roof above my head. What are you bringing in? Selenite is a great one to clear space. That's a natural clear. Rose quartz is healing heart and love. So that is an amplifier. Your protection pieces are your shungite and what else did you say before?
Black tourmaline. Black tourmaline. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so even if you have small little pieces of them planted in the home, like I started just putting them in my plants, just so they're energetically connected.
Your mom taught me that, actually. Yeah. And she taught me it because I came to her house and I was like, what are the crystals doing in the plants? That's like next level.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. It's like I'm learning from one of the masters. It was so good. Yeah. And so that's like putting more energy into the soil of the plant and allowing it to grow. I have the same in my house as well. So
yeah. And it's, a lot of people. So one of probably the biggest questions when I have someone come to my healing circle or, as a client just beginning, they're like, what can I do, Meg? Or I see you guys wearing crystals, or I want to put some crystals in my home. And sometimes we overthink it. Like everyone is an individual. I love obviously Ruby Rose in Cambridge. So we are always over there. I usually meet a lot of people over there, but I'm like, walk in and see what's talking to you. Are you drawn to something? If you're drawn to something, then maybe that's what you need in that moment. Yes. Right. Is there some of your basics? Like I said, selenite, rose quartz, any of your quartzes, your smoky quartz, your black tourmaline, those are all your basic ones. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like, again, teaching you, drop into your heart, look around. Is there something that you connect with? And is there a bracelet? Is there a pendant? Is there a ring? Is there, just a piece that you just connect with? And then she's got these, so it's called the Book of Stones there. And she's got the small little pocket books, because usually that's what I share with people is like, it's great because it gives like the scientific background, the metaphysical, the spiritual, all of that, the emotional. And that's how you learn. Like, I don't know how many years ago, I wouldn't have even understood. Like, I couldn't have told you what the difference was between a black tourmaline and an obsidian. Right. Now, like, because I have my book and I'm constantly like, okay, I got a rose quartz, I got a black obsidian, I got tourmaline. Now let me go in and look. And so you just start learning, but it's because I just really, resonated with those pieces. And now they're in my house, they're in my plants, they're next to my kids' beds, they're in the car, in
my wallet. Yeah. Like when I travel, they're in my suitcase. People ask me as well. They're like, Jen, what stones should I get? I had one of my friends messaged me a few weeks ago, and she's just stepping into the stones world and like, what can I bring into the home? And we had a conversation around it, and she had a lot of questions around like, what size, what color, like, what should I get? And I was like, Sarah, let me just I voice message her. I'm like, here's the thing. There's no textbook on this, literally. And even if there was, I wouldn't follow it because I'm not a rule follower at all. Totally. I would have made my own, but here's the thing. You go to a store and a lot of crystals and rock shops. And I tell people also once you go in, before you start making decisions, feel the vibe and the energy in the space. Like Absolutely. It may or may not be the right store for you to be picking your stones as well. And no disrespect to some that are out there, but we all vibe at an energy. I've walked into some stores and said, this isn't my place. And I say, thank you for sharing and showing. I'm going to find a different one because I like to try other things. And Ruby Rose is one of my faves, but people really need to read the room and read the energy. And if you're going to start down this path, you need to check in and go inward and ask yourself, and you'll get the answer immediately, right? You'll know like this feels good or this does not feel good. And so then the next step is just to, like you said, gravitate to what feels good to you. I remember a couple years ago, the stone that I just picked up and showed to you, it's on my desk. This is called the Super 7 stone.
Super 7.
Yeah. And as soon as I learned about this, I was like, ooh, I need to go get this. And it's kind of rare. It's not something that you find everywhere.
I was
I'm
going to say,
just, it's good. So you're going to match me my Super 7?
well, this is my Super 7, but this is an Oralite 23. It's got 23 of them.
Oh my, I need to level up. Okay.
Oh, it's okay. They're all great.
So Mark and I go down to Ruby Rose because, as you know, the coffee shops, that's one, you owned one of the shops there as well years back. I went there with an intention to even see if they had Super 7 there because I'd never seen it before. I had never asked about it. I'd never come across anything there that I thought was it, but I wasn't looking for it, right? So here we go. We get there. I grab my coffee. We go into the store. This is no joke, Meg. Like, I walk in the front door. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. You know, when
I know exactly where you're saying. I already know.
Yeah. My body was like, like magnetic. It was like right to it. I picked it up. I'm like, this looks like it. And I go, holy shit, Super 7.
Yep.
And I was like, what? And MJ was there. And this was a Sunday. And I was like, MJ, has this always been here? And she's like, yeah. She's like, well, it's not as common as say amethyst or whatever, because it's purple. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, my body just gravitated, just knew. And there were, I think, 3 or 4 pieces. I picked this one up and I was like, this is it. This is it. And I looked at the others and I thought, nope, this is my piece. And I'm like, this is it. And so it was like, I already knew that this is how this works, right? But it even blew my mind that day. It's like, and Mark couldn't believe it. He was like, what the heck? He goes, did you know that was there? And I go, no, my body was like, I was calling it in. It went right over to it. I picked it up. I put it in my hand. I was like, this is the piece. This is what I need. Like, so it's not shocking to me, but it's always fun. It's so fun.
It's so simple. It's like, if we are calling in something, it will literally take us to it. But again, that's where our mind comes in and our thoughts and our beliefs. And that's why it's like cleaning up that headspace. So that way you can call in exactly what you're wanting. And it's amazing how simple it is. And I think that is probably one of the hardest for people to wrap their head around, is the simplicity of this work.
Right. We want it to be hard,
and we want it to be tangible, and we want the list, but it's almost so simple that people get irritated, I
know. And when you tell them they can create the list, they're like, wait, what? I'm actually in control of it. So what's funny is like, I didn't know, you don't know what size. Like if you're in my home, I mean, I have humongous pieces and I have little tiny pieces. Like I've got little pieces here. There's no right or wrong. It's like whatever. I did not know what this was going to look like or the size of it. It could have been 100 pounds and I would have bought it if I gravitated towards it. It's just really so easy and not that complicated. And people just need to start exploring and
it's like trusting, right? It's trusting and going inward, because we usually have validation. We seek a list. We seek, again, like we've been so programmed in our school and in our work that if we have it in front of it, it's like we can tackle it. We can do that. But then you take your power back and all hell breaks loose because you're like, what do I do? No one's telling me what to do. But that's what's beautiful about it, because then you get to have fun, because the work is fun. The journey is fun.
Yeah, I remember one time, I mean, speaking to like knowing the difference between being your own master and also relying on someone to help you. When I first met your mom, who we'll probably maybe have on the show someday. Oh, she's the best. I had a session with her. I was meeting with her and we were talking about my health, the left side paralysis. And this was actually years ago when I was still suffering quite a bit with my hand in a fist and like trying to work through. And she was showing me pendulum and we were doing some things. And I remember getting really emotional because I wanted to know how to do what she was doing, right? Like I was watching her and I remember I can see it all. I was sitting on the couch in her office and I was like leaning forward, like over her going, can you show me how to do this? I'm like, I want to know how. And I'm like crying. And she just looks at me and she goes, you know how? And she handed me the pendulum and like, she walked me through how to do it. And like, she just showed me right then and there. And she's like, it's not hard. Like it's not complicated. Like I didn't pass a test to get
Yeah.
here. She's like, I just tapped in. Here's how. And she showed me, and it was like, oh, it's actually pretty simple. And then something similar happened when I introduced her to my niece a few years ago. Same thing. She also was like, how do I do this for myself?
Yeah.
And it was like, we showed her how to do it. She's 17 now, but this was when she was like maybe 14 or 15. It's like, we have the innate ability to do it, right? We just want to complicate it.
We want to complicate everything.
We want to make it so dang hard, and it just isn't. And so it's doing the work, so to speak, to calm down, relax, go inward. I know you had mentioned like your healing retreats, and that's really where I've spent an enormous amount of time, is just learning these things, taking the time out of work and play and all the things to go spend time in that vibration and in those types of circles. And the sound baths are amazing as well. So I don't know if you want to speak to those for a few minutes before we sign off today, or kind of wrap up a little bit, because I think that's so important, where people can maybe find and work with you, but also I know this is, something that you've stepped into deeply in the last few years. So
I think because when I went on my healing journey, and over the years between plant medicine, therapy, all the different things, a lot came back to music and sound and frequency, and with everything. And, with things not necessarily being legal here, it was like, okay, I can't put everyone on plant medicine. So I got to come up with something else. And I was like, I have all these instruments. My mom's gotten me all over the years. And I came back from a retreat and I was like, screw it. Mom, I'm going to you're out of retirement. There's no time to retire. I'm going to make this in my mind. I had it like, I'm going to make this circle, and it's going to be like yoga, but relaxing. And sound bowls normally, you would play on their own, but music was so impactful for me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm so fortunate. All my teachers have shared the music with me. So I'm going to make a journey of like an hour long, with music. And I'm going to play my sound bowls and the drums and Tibetan bowls all to this, and take people on a journey. And I pray to God it works. And so the first time that we did it, I was like, having the gym and doing what we've done for so many years is we connect with people, and they know who we are. And so there's this trust established. So when I started sharing with people like, hey, I'd love for you to come to this. I know you don't know what any of this means, but like, please just trust me. And so I had this group of women, and they were so wonderful. They just trusted me and believed in me. They had no idea what they were signed up for. They just knew like, come and bring your, wear your comfortable pajamas, bring your blankets and pillows, and you're just going to come here and see what happens. And we set up at Ruby Rose, and I took them, as you know, you've been in it, but it's like an hour of sound and music. And the first song is a meditation in that I have people focus. And the last song, I bring them out. And after that first one, they all sat up and they were like, what the fuck just happened to me? And I was like, it worked. And they went inward, and they could like relax. And they're like, I was seeing colors, or I was noticing feelings in my body. And so for me, it's fun, the music. It's an easy way for me to introduce people to tangibly feel frequency, right? Because when you listen to music, it evokes emotions. When you listen to sound bowls or drums, you can feel the vibration. Mm-hmm. So for me, with teaching people, it was the easiest tangible way to open a door and invite people in to a woo-woo topic that is very, physical and science-based. And so I basically just created this avenue to teach people, like, there's no right or wrong experience, but when you can connect to yourself and self-empower you to like sit with yourself or have your thoughts, then I just start teaching more people like, okay, let's look at what experience you had, or if you want to share anything, or you know what, when you're home, just listen to the music. I'm going to share it with you and you can listen to it. So for me, it just created an avenue to be able to speak. And from that, my husband started sitting in with me, my sister, my mom, and I share, my husband share. We share a lot of our stories, a lot of the wrongs, the rights, the lessons. We have 4 kids. There's a lot of things we've done right, a lot of things we've done wrong. And I just want to give people permission. Like, it's okay if you don't get it all right. we're still human and we're still learning. And the more we can tap into this work, the more we can recognize how to shift and change and be better. And so I hope by sharing our story, it enables more people to realize like, yeah, we're all human. It's okay if we get things right. It's okay if we get them wrong. But here's some tools that are tangible, and you could feel the music internally. And so now it's something they can take home and simply just use within the home. And that's why I created it. And then now they're, they'll be hooked, and then they'll come to something else, or next thing you know, they're buying crystals and they're buying plants and they're coming to another class. And that's fun.
It's so good. I remember when I brought Mark to one of the first healing circles with you. He'd never done that before. We did like a Friday night date night. I was like, hey, you should come. And, you remember you've asked me what I do down at Ruby Rose. I'm like, it's a co-ed one. You can come along. Jeb's going to be there. It's going to be great. And he's like, okay, sure. Can I get some crystals while we're there? I'm like, no, actually the shop's closed. So let's just go. And of course, he had to like assess the situation a little bit and was like, so we just lay on the floor? Like, we're just going to get down on the mats and cover up? And I was like, yeah. And then afterwards, he kind of sat up and he was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like, he gave himself permission to just be for an hour. It was very helpful that Jeb, other guys were there as well. And as you know, we were pretty open about his alcoholism and the sobriety now in our life. Same thing. It's like, we're going to share, like, we could do a whole podcast on the down and dirties of our relationship when it wasn't great and when it was really toxic and when it was a really dark time for both of us. And that's what we want to do, is like, we all need to just be okay talking about it. And then understanding that we just need to set that down, like set that shame and sadness or whatever those emotions are down, give gratitude for them, and just move forward. And the frequency of that music, Mark is a music person, and that's why I knew he would love that. And so, it was a beautiful experience. And he actually, a few weeks ago, a summer busy, right? But just a few weeks ago, because he's on the email list now, he's like, Meg's there's another co-ed class opportunity coming up. Yeah, I know. So it's really cool when you can go with no expectations and you just feel into it, see what happens. And everybody's journey is different. So I love that. What a beautiful conversation. I feel like we could do this all day, right?
I know. I could sit and talk for hours.
Well, I think we'll probably have another conversation maybe about the plant medicine at some point. I know your mom is semi-retired, and that's why I gave you the option.
She would probably enjoy it. My sister also does past life regressions and art therapy. So
it's like a little circle.
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk all the weird things.
No, I love it. Oh, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me
today. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Meg.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Isn't Megan just a beautiful breath of fresh air? I could seriously listen to her for hours. Her energy is so grounded and rooted in pure divine white light. As I mentioned earlier in the show too, Megan offers a number of services plus hosts several events and retreats throughout the year. So please do go connect with her if you feel called to do so. Her info and socials are in the show notes. Also, just a quick reminder for those that have reached out to me in interest of getting a sauna for their home or business, please know you can find all the details on the jenhellerlifestyle.com site and on the infrared sauna page. Just click the link to message me directly with your questions, or feel free to leave a good phone number and a good time to reach you, and I'm happy to call you back. If you decide to call Clearlight directly instead of connecting with me, just be sure to let them know that Jen Heller sent you for special pricing and a free gift. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and also for sharing your fabulous reviews. I'm so grateful for your kind words, your love, and your feedback. You're all so amazing, and I appreciate you. And please don't forget to grab the home wellness checklist over at the jenhellerlifestyle.com site. It's a great way to start designing your own sanctuary space. Until next week, my friends, cheers to health and happiness. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. This helps me expand my reach to other health and wellness enthusiasts. If you're interested in purchasing a Clearlight sauna, have a topic request, or just want to connect with me, please head over to my site, jenhellerlifestyle.com.